Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today we are heading into one of the driest places on Earth to uncover a secret that has been hiding in plain sight for 2,000 years. We are talking about the Peruvian desert, specifically the Nazca Pampa, a vast, arid canvas stretching between the Andes Mountains and the Pacific Ocean. For nearly a century, this desert has been the subject of one of archaeology's greatest mysteries, the Nazca Lines. You have likely seen the pictures. Immense geoglyphs etched into the earth depicting spiders, monkeys, and hummingbirds, so large they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. For decades, pilots, archaeologists, and dreamers have looked down at these lines, fueling theories ranging from astronomical calendars to alien landing strips. But here's the thing about archaeology. It is usually a game of patience. It is slow. Finding a new geoglyph was a rare, career-defining event that required years of scouring high-resolution imagery and grueling treks under the scorching sun. That was the status quo for 100 years. But that changed in 2024. In a discovery that has absolutely sent shockwaves through the scientific community, a collaboration between Yamagata University in Japan and IBM Research has unveiled 303 previously unknown geoglyphs in a mere 6 months. To put that in perspective, this project nearly doubled the known census of figurative Nazca designs in half a year. But the most fascinating part isn't just what they found, but how they found it. This wasn't achieved by luck or traditional foot patrols alone. It was achieved by a new, powerful partner in the field of history, artificial intelligence. Over the next 20 minutes, we are going to deep dive into this monumental discovery. We are going to break down the cutting-edge technology that made it possible. We will decode the strange motifs of knife-wielding orcas and decapitated heads. And we will explain how this changes our fundamental understanding of the ancient Nazca civilization. So let's get into the details. Let's start with the scale of this unveiling. This is a quantum leap in archaeology. Since the first academic study of the Nazca Lines in the 1920s, the scientific community had identified approximately 430 figurative geoglyphs. These are the recognizable shapes: animals, plants, and humans, distinct from the thousands of geometric lines and trapezoids that crisscross the pampa. It took generations of archaeologists to build this catalog. In one sweeping 6-month project, the AI human team added 303 new figures to the map. The rate of discovery before this project was linear and slow. This project represents a 16-fold increase in the discovery rate. These aren't just faint scratches. They are distinct, purposeful artworks that have been hiding, obscured by centuries of erosion and the limitations of the human eye. But what exactly did they find? The 303 new geoglyphs are a menagerie of the bizarre and the mundane. Unlike the famous giant lines that are easily spotted from airplanes, these new finds are largely what archaeologists call relief-type geoglyphs. They are smaller, averaging about 9 meters or 30 feet in diameter. And unlike the giants on the flat floor, these are often etched into the slopes of hills. The motifs are startlingly different from the classic Nazca repertoire. We are seeing dozens of strange, abstract human shapes, some wearing headdresses or carrying objects. We are seeing domesticated animals like llamas and alpacas featuring prominently, suggesting a focus on daily life and livestock. We are seeing scene-like compositions where humans interact with animals, suggesting narrative scenes or mythological stories. And perhaps most shockingly, we are seeing decapitated heads. These are a grim reminder of the Nazca culture's ritualistic practices, appearing frequently, sometimes held by human figures or isolated as symbols. One of the most striking finds is a 22-meter-long orca that appears to be wielding a knife. This imagery links back to Nazca pottery, where marine deities are often depicted as fierce headhunters. Now, how did they find this? This is where the story becomes a technological thriller. The hero of this story, alongside the archaeologists, is a deep learning model developed by IBM. But training an AI to find Nazca lines is not like training it to spot cats on the internet. In the world of artificial intelligence, big data is usually king. To train a model to recognize a car, you feed it millions of images of cars. But in archaeology, data is scarce. There were only about 400 known figurative geoglyphs in existence. This is a tiny dataset for training a robust neural network. Furthermore, the noise in the Nazca Desert is deafening. Ancient flood paths, modern truck tracks, and natural erosion all look confusingly similar to eroded geoglyphs. The team at IBM and Yamagata University, led by Masato Sakai, employed a clever workaround. They didn't just teach the AI what a geoglyph looked like. They taught it to look for the probability of a geoglyph based on subtle changes in soil contrast and texture. They fed the system terabytes of high-resolution aerial photography and laser scanning data, or LiDAR, covering the entire Nazca Pampa. They used a method called semi-supervised or weakly supervised learning. They used a limited known geoglyphs as positive examples and vast stretches of empty desert as negative examples. The result wasn't a simple yes or no. The AI generated a probability map, a heat map of the desert, highlighting areas with a high statistical likelihood of containing artificial modification. Crucially, the AI was not the final authority. It flagged 1,309 likely candidates. It was then up to the human archaeologists to trek to these specific coordinates and verify the findings. This redefined efficiency in the field. The traditional method involved walking the desert in a grid, hoping to stumble upon a line, years of work for a handful of finds. With the AI method, archaeologists performed targeted surgical strikes. They went exactly where the AI pointed. The success rate was staggering. About 1 in 4 of the AI's high-probability targets turned out to be a genuine, previously unknown geoglyph. But let's move beyond the tech and look at the archaeology. The most scientifically significant aspect of this discovery is not just the number of new glyphs, but the type. The study has fundamentally altered our understanding of how the Nazca people used their landscape by distinguishing between two distinct categories of geoglyphs, the line type and the relief type. The line type are the giants we all know: the hummingbird, the monkey, the spider. These average 90 meters or 300 feet in size. They were made by removing the dark, oxidized stones from the surface to reveal the lighter, lime-rich soil underneath. They are linear and often drawn with a single continuous line on the flat pampas. The new study reinforces the theory that these were communal ritual spaces. They are often connected to large trapezoids and rectangles, geometric clearings where hundreds of people could gather. They were likely walked upon during large-scale ceremonies dedicated to water deities or agricultural fertility. They are meant to be seen by the gods from the sky but experienced by the community on the ground. The relief type, which make up the bulk of the new 303 discoveries, are different. They are small, averaging 9 meters. The technique involves removing stones to form a visible depression, but often using the natural topography of slopes and hills to create the image. They are more like bas-relief carvings in the dirt. And here is the breakthrough. The distribution of these new glyphs correlates almost perfectly with ancient walking trails. This leads to what archaeologists are calling the billboard theory. Unlike the giant lines, which are secluded on the flat plain, the relief glyphs were positioned to be seen by people walking along the paths. They likely served as markers, warnings, or storytelling devices for travelers. A depiction of a killer whale with a knife might warn of dangerous coastal waters or mark a path toward a specific ritual site. A llama might indicate a trade route. Because they are smaller and more numerous, they may have been made by individuals or small family groups, rather than the state-sponsored labor required for the giant lines. To truly understand these lines, we have to get into the mind of the Nazca. The Nazca civilization flourished from roughly 100 BCE to 800 CE in one of the driest places on Earth. Survival was a constant negotiation with the environment. The recurrence of decapitated heads in the new AI discovery confirms a darker aspect of Nazca culture, the trophy head cult. The Nazca believed that the head contained the life force. Warriors would take the heads of enemies, and sometimes their own people, and modify them into ritual objects. Seeing these etched into the desert slopes suggests that these trails may have been procession routes for head-taking rituals or offerings to the ancestors. Then there is the water. Water was the most precious resource. The killer whale, or orca, was a powerful deity in Nazca mythology, often associated with the sea and rain. A knife-wielding orca is a mythological hybrid, a supernatural being that bridges the human practice of sacrifice with the raw power of the ocean. Finding this specific motif helps link the geoglyphs to the iconography found on Nazca pottery, solidifying the idea that the desert floor was an extension of their canvas. The implications of this go far beyond Peru. The success of the AI Archaeologist is a proof of concept for the entire world. This technology is already being adapted to use LiDAR to strip away tree cover in the Amazonian rainforests to find lost cities beneath the canopy. It is being used to detect subtle elevation changes that indicate hidden pyramids in Mexico and Guatemala. It is mapping lost caravanserais buried under Central Asian sands on the Silk Road. Furthermore, this is a race against time. The Nazca lines are fragile. A single truck driving off-road can destroy a 2,000-year-old masterpiece in seconds. Flash floods, driven by El Niño, wash them away. By using AI to create a complete, high-precision map of every geoglyph, not just the famous ones, preservationists can better protect these sites. The AI has given the Peruvian Ministry of Culture a hit list of sites that need immediate fencing and legal protection. We cannot protect what we do not know exists. In conclusion, the discovery of 303 new geoglyphs is more than just a statistic. It is a restoration of history. For centuries, these small, intimate drawings, etched by travelers, traders, and families, sat in silence, overshadowed by their giant cousins on the pampa. The giant lines told us about the Nazca gods. The relief lines tell us about the Nazca people. They tell us about their fears, their daily lives, and their journeys. Thanks to the marriage of ancient dirt and modern silicon, the AI archaeologist has allowed us to walk these ancient trails once more, seeing the desert not as a barren wasteland, but as a crowded gallery of messages left by a civilization that refused to be forgotten. As the AI continues to scan the desert, processing terabytes of data while we sleep, one has to wonder, what else is out there, waiting to be seen? The 303 figures are likely just the beginning. The desert is still waking up. Thank you for listening to G Fun Facts Online.